Hi there. In this series of videos, I'm going to try and show you how to work with Photoshop so that you're able to edit photos and make them look better. Because let's be honest, that's what we want to do. We want to make our photos look better so we can show them to people. Okay, in this first video, I'm going to show you some of the features and functionality of Photoshop. So if you're already familiar with Photoshop, you can pretty much skip this video. Okay. After you've installed Photoshop and opened it, you're faced with something like this. And it can look intimidating at first. I'm using specifically Photoshop version CS1. If you have a newer version, it might look a little bit different, but the main functionality is still the same, so that's good. Okay, so let's start working with it. At the top left, we have the main menus, just like most Windows programs. Right below that, we have the options of whatever tool I have selected. And down here, I have my tools, all my various tools, and my color. Over here, I have a few windows that are hidden. And here I have another window called histogram. And over here, I have a few more windows. Notice how this window, for instance, actually has two windows in it. I can click each tab to go between the windows, called Info and Navigator. This is very important. Note that I can only have one open at one time, but in cases where you don't need them both open at once, this can help you save a lot of space on your monitor. I use it a lot, and it's very handy. Okay, let's actually bring in a photo into Photoshop. How do you do that? That's probably the first thing you're going to want to ask. Well, it's actually like most other Windows programs, or Mac programs for that. You can go to File and Open. And you gotta find where your photo is. You can click it and then click Open, and that'll do it. I'm going to cancel this though, because how I usually like to edit while bringing photos is I like to open the folder that has the actual photo in it. So here's a folder with a lot of pictures in it. And let's say I want to bring in this photo. So I click it, and then I do a click and drag onto the Adobe Photoshop taskbar icon. So I click and drag over Photoshop. Now I bring it up here, and I release the mouse button. And there, now the photo's been brought in. Gonna move it. Okay, and there's my photo. Now notice how some of the windows now are they've come alive. Histogram now has the live histogram. My navigator is showing me the preview of the photo. I have history, and I have layers. Very good. Let's go through some things first with the menus. File, that's like your normal file menu in any program. Open, save, save as. You can also import, export. You can automate with scripts, preview. Edit is also like most programs, undo, copy, paste, clear. There's also some other Photoshop specific things like fill, stroke, you can transform the image, and some settings. Image is a very important menu. We're going to be spending a lot of time using the image menu. This is how you adjust a lot of things with the image. It'll be very helpful. Layers, if you're working with layers. Select deals with if you select parts of the image. Filter, there's a lot of built-in filters into Photoshop that can achieve a lot of different effects. You'll have to fiddle around with them, but I don't use them too often, but there are some important ones like sharpening the picture and other things, blurring the picture. View, this allows you to change how you view things. You can have rulers. I have rulers set on. You can do snaps, you can do guides, zoom in, zoom out. The window shows you what windows you have open already. If it has a check mark, that means it's currently being viewed. Status bar, that's this thing at the bottom. It doesn't show too much information. And if you had multiple images, you would have multiple images showing here. At the moment, I only have one, so there's that. And the help menu is also very important. You can search up what each tool does. You can also do online help. They give you nice little tutorials on how to work with the items in Photoshop. It's very, very helpful. I suggest if you ever have questions, give the help feature a shot. Okay, let me just be a little bit more specific. Over here we have the history. That is like the ultimate undo and redo. Every time you do an edit, it makes an edit point, and you can jump backwards and forwards throughout this history line. In the next video, I actually show you how to use this, so I suggest if you don't know how to use it, you check that out. One thing worth noting though, if you go to Edit, Preferences, and General, there's going to be an option for the history, and it's this history states. That's how many states Photoshop is going to save, how many edit points. It starts off with a default of a very small number, and if your computer can handle it, I suggest you up that quite a bit. I've set it to 40 for mine because I don't really need to go back past more than 40 edits. But if you do, you can edit that value and change it to a higher number. I'm going to cancel out of this. Another very cool feature is this navigator window. It allows you to zoom in and zoom out, and it shows the zoom level. So if I zoom out by clicking this button, it zoomed out. And now the changed level is shown. If I zoom in and zoom in and zoom in and zoom in, let's say 100%, now I'm viewing the picture at 100%. But not all of the picture is visible at one time. But in the navigator, I can still see the full image, and whatever edits I do, I'm going to be able to see how it looks on the full image. That's very helpful. The other important thing is this red box here. That's currently showing what I have visible to me. If I click and drag this red box around, it changes what I'm viewing. Also very helpful. You can also directly type in the percentage you want to view. Let's say I want to view it at 45%. Type it in, click enter, and there I'm viewing it at 45%. Okay. Very last thing to show you is the histogram. The histogram is like any other histogram in photography. It's very helpful. If you have a large monitor, you can actually expand this out to see the different colors and luminosities, but at the moment I have it at a very compact view. I'm just looking at all three colors at once, like a luminosity almost. You can click this arrow over here to bring up more views, like the expanded view. That makes it bigger, and you can also change different things. You can view the R, G, or B colors, luminosity, or all colors at once. It's very cool. You can also go to all channel views. That shows red, green, and blue plus whatever you have set here. Very cool. But it requires a bigger monitor than what I have at the moment, so I just go back to compact view. Okay. Okay, sorry. Last thing worth noting. See the image? There's a ruler here. It gives you a vertical and a horizontal ruler. And if you right-click that, that tells you the units you're using for your ruler. You can use millimeters, centimeters, inches, pixels, you name it. I like to work in pixels most of the time. But there you go. Okay, I hope this has given you a flavor of working with Photoshop. I hope this was helpful.